welcome to another Monday Fun Day here at the OH.Report World Headquarters, just north of the City of Champions. That's right, Columbus, Ohio. Can I get an OH? From the front to the back, man, what a performance by those Buckeyes Monday night, knocking off Notre Dame, a game it looked like we was about to run away with, and all of a sudden it got tight, but the big-time players and even a freshman who's hanging out behind me tonight making the biggest plays when it mattered the most. So people still talking about it. Had my buddy at the house last night, still really pumped up about what we saw from Ohio State, and we're going to talk more about that championship game here tonight with Lucas Wickizer of the Klebus. He's going to jump on and break it down for you guys, and a little bit more of a sentimental Luke I think we're going to see tonight. Going to fill you in on just how much Ohio State football means in his life and what they've done for him in the past. Plus, Jim Knowles leaving Columbus and not going too far to Happy Valley, so he's in enemy territory now. Get Luke's thoughts on that. Plus, Chip Kelly, sounds like he's kind of floating around some offers in the NFL too, so we're going to break that down. You're also going to hear from Natalie Lance, the head coach of the now 7-time defending MOAC champion Lady Whippets. They're at a team meal right now, so as soon as they're done grubbing down, they're going to call in and we'll have a chit chat with Natalie. And I don't even know, they got 8 seniors on the team. She might even bring them all on, so we're in for a big surprise, and we'll all find out together who Coach Lance and the gang are going to bring on the video call tonight. Plus, we're going to do something brand new that we've never done before. The 7 best things that our OH.Report crew saw over the last 7 days. We're calling it the lucky number 7, I think. We'll play around with that name. We'll see even if it sticks, but it's going down tonight. So, obviously, the comeback for Shelby that we saw on Saturday night, that's making the top 7. Yeah, all right, so spoiler alert. You already know that we're going to talk about that one from the Valley and how they won the MOAC championship, because that was a mind-blowing game, the best that I've been at all season long. Looking forward to telling you more about what happened out in Belleville on Saturday night. But we're going to begin the show enjoying Joining us right now is a man who likely very soon is going to have his own shampoo commercial. And as soon as you see that beautiful head of lettuce, you are going to understand exactly why. This is a former walk-on at Iowa State University who used his superior talent and knowledge to get himself a contract in the league. He just finished up his rookie season with the Washington Commanders. Please welcome the pride of McPherson, Kansas, to the show, Mr. Ben Nikkel. What's up, buddy? How you doing tonight?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. You're looking good. The stash is coming in, and then the head, we already know what you got going on there, but you told me you're fresh off of a rookie mill, right? So you're out and with the entire gang of rookies. Well, what was the vibe like? Because obviously an awesome season for you guys out there in D.C. this year.
Yeah. Obviously it didn't end the way that we wanted it to, yesterday in Philly, but vibes were still good. It was a great rookie class, kind of going in there and trying to change the culture that they had been in, and trying to shift the tide and bring the city together a little bit. And having Jaden Daniels on your team definitely helps out.
Yeah, no doubt. Hopefully he was flipping the bill right. Number 2 draft pick money, baby. He better be paying for some of that.
Exactly.
Well, we're looking at some pictures right now of you from your Iowa State playing days. So before we even get into your rookie season, let's kind of talk about your journey to the NFL, because I think it's a pretty amazing story that people are going to want to hear. A former walk-on at Iowa State, you show out at the Big 12 Combine after spending a handful of years there. So you go from basically not being on an NFL radar to landing a contract with the Commanders. So just describe to me kind of what it was like to fulfill a childhood dream, and when you were told that you was going to be an NFL player. How did that all work out for you? How'd you put yourself in a position to make it in the league?
Yeah. So really, walk on at Iowa State, and if anybody was ever to walk on anywhere, it would be Iowa State, because they treat you like you're a scholarship player. You're gonna have the same opportunities as anybody else, and I kind of just found my way on special teams and tried to make a name there. And as you build more trust in that program, the more they trust you to do other things, and that led me onto the field with defense and everything. And then once our season ended, I was thinking, we might have a shot to do well at a pro day and, try to turn some heads and, get on some radar. So I just ended up training at Iowa State with one of the strength coaches there, and we had 2 other guys there. It was a good group, and we just came to work every day and trained for it. And then I kind of had a feeling that, I'd put up some decent numbers there. And, once I got there, we had some meetings with some teams that I hadn't talked to any teams prior to that. So doing that was like my first time, and it was a little nerve wracking at first, but once you just talking ball with some of the guys and go through all the drills and everything, and then after that, it was a lot more meetings, because I guess the day we got there, we had meetings, and I only met with 2 teams. I think it was like the Vikings and the Bills. And then after the pro day, I met with like 5 other teams. And then agents were hitting me up. So I had to end up getting an agent, and I didn't sign with an agent until 3 weeks before the draft, which is pretty uncommon. And, just kind of bet on myself and figured we might have a shot at this. And then the Commanders were kind of late in that window, and they were really interested in me, and so ended up signing with them and had a good enough camp, and stayed along for the ride. So it's been a good journey, and just been enjoying it ever since.
Yeah, there it is. There's you signing your contract. So just the elation, that moment when you're like, wow, this is real. I am going to be playing in the NFL. Put some perspective on that, and just what that entire day was like in specifically that moment.
Yeah. I mean, it was a surreal moment. Every kid that dreams of playing in the NFL, and having these moments where you can like put on a NFL jersey and a helmet, and just go out there and compete. So in the moment when I got the call that they wanted to sign me, I mean, it was elation. I had my family there. I had some friends there, and it was it was just a special moment and a day I'll never forget.
So once you started getting those NFL paychecks, you get a little bit of signing bonus. Was there anything specifically that you've always wanted from the time you was a kid or even in high school when you just had to go out and splurge a little bit?
Yeah, honestly, I've been blessed. I never really had anything that I like comes to mind that, I'm not big on like the flashy clothes or any jewelry or anything. I'd say the biggest thing was, I guess clothing wise, for traveling to games, you can't really wear your Iowa State team issued gear. And that's really all my wardrobe was. So had to go out and get, some nicer clothes and some things that, you know, didn't just scream Iowa State football. And then I had to treat Maddie and my girlfriend out for a few nice dinners and get her some good stuff too. Maybe not as much as I should have, but we're still working on that.
We were working on trying to figure out what Christmas present she was going to buy for you with your own money. And actually, ironically, I got on my Buckeye chain tonight, and I was like, he might like maybe a Cyclone version of this. So did my cousin come through? Did you get any good gifts at Christmas time?
No, I mean, she still got me some good stuff. She got me some shoes and some other things like that. But we all know whose paychecks that was from. So
you've got the real thoughtfulness in the family, and that's all right, man. So we're happy to have you as a part of our clan now. And man, I got a chance to work out with you. Obviously, you're a crazy athlete and super dedicated. You were even doing beyond what they were asking you to do in the off-season schedule for the Commanders. So for all the dreamers out there, describe for you as a former walk-on and a guy that kind of just put himself into the upper echelon in terms of showcasing what type of athlete you are. What does it take to get there? Because it's a big-time commitment that I think if a lot of kids were able to stick to, they might be able to fulfill a dream just like yours.
Yeah, and I think you hit it. It's all commitment. And I heard a quote early on, and it was the difference between dreams and reality is discipline. And it's just discipline. Obviously there's going to be days that you don't want to go do what you have to do, and this game and really any game, life is going to just kick you down, and it's how many times can you get up and just keep putting your nose to the grindstone and just working. And I think if you have that love for what you do and what you're doing, whether it's football or really anything else, is if you just love it and you want to do it, then that dedication will come through. And I think if you're disciplined and have the passion for it, I mean, you can do anything that you set your mind to. So,
well, I mean, you kind of seen me in action. We was doing a little sprint work together. I was hoisting up a couple of reasonable size weights, I'd like to think, and playing some hoops. So, if you could kind of picture me in a 40 and older league playing football, am I going to make the roster? And if so, what position is Ben Nikkel going to use me at?
Oh yeah, no, you can definitely play. You had some juice too. Yeah, I saw it. In the weight room, in the gym, out on the field. You had it all. So I think definitely you're an athlete. We can put you anywhere on the field. We can put you running back. We can put you at receiver. You can play DB. Man, we can use you in some blitz packages. We can do really anything we want.
That sounds kind of fun, but also scary for my hamstrings. I think you start throwing me in all those different positions, but we're going to have some problems. I mean, that's not exactly what it used to be, Ben, but I appreciate you having that much faith in me. I'm curious because you've seen the town that I grew up in, and I've Googled McPherson, Kansas. It's not exactly a very big town either. So you go from there to the nation's capital. How much of an adjustment was that, just going from kind of the country life and then even Iowa State, and then not exactly in a big-time metropolis? So how did you get adjusted to your new surrounding in the league?
Yeah, no, it was definitely pretty tough at first with the traffic. That was something I was not used to, driving my big truck and everybody just zooming by me. But the team out here in Ashburn's a great place. We're still about 45 minutes from DC, so it's a lot more kind of calmer, my speed a little bit. You get down to DC though, it gets pretty hectic. So it's been an adjustment, but it's been a lot of fun. We go down. I know the DBs. We went down to a couple Wizards games already, and Maddie and I, we went out to a Capitals game. So it's been we go down to DC a good amount and have fun down there. But yeah, it was definitely an adjustment. But out here in DC, it's a lot of fun. So you can find a lot more to do than what you can find in McPherson, Kansas. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not in Kansas anymore, pretty clearly. I think you figured that out by now. And you mentioned
Yeah.
that city slicker, Maddie Woog, from the mean streets of Highlands Ranch. Having her as a companion, how much did that actually help you kind of adjust to the big city life?
Oh, a lot. I mean, she knows how to do it. She knows how to drive in this, and watching Scott Woog go through the streets
Yeah.
of Denver, man, you can make it through anything watching him do that. So she's definitely helped me a lot. Both out here and just being that support system that I need. Like I said, sometimes you go through some tough days and you have self doubts, but having a good support system outside of football that really means a lot to me, and people that I can just lean on. Whenever you're going through those tough times, and even when you're going through good times, to kind of knock you off your high horse a little bit too. So.
Give me like an eye-opening type of moment where it was your like, "Hey, rookie, welcome to the NFL" type of scenario, and you were like, "This is a little bit different from where I come from."
So it actually happened on my very first play in the preseason. So we were playing the Jets, and it was my first play. It was on a punt return. I go out, and we're supposed to just vice the gunner, so we're just putting two guys on the gunner, and I'm the inside piece. And if he takes the outside release, I'm just supposed to like flow over the top and just shut it off, right at the sideline. And so he takes the outside release, trying to go shut it off. He catches me in a crossover run and then just accelerates right through my chin strap and just blows me up. I'm like, all right, that's it's a different ball game we're playing out here. So after that, though, we got adjusted pretty quick, and so I'm glad that I got it out of the way on the first play. So now I'll be ready for it next time.
Yeah, lesson learned right there. And you could tell Jaden Daniels, he picked up on stuff like right away. A little bit of a slow start, then all of a sudden he just burst onto the scene. Having a dude like that in your clubhouse on a day-to-day, obviously on the field he's a super special athlete. He's a number 2 pick for a reason, Heisman winner, all that type of stuff. But when you have a guy with that much what appears to be confidence and swag about him, how does that kind of trickle down affect not just like you rookies, but even the veterans, like just collectively as a whole with that team?
Yeah, I think just like his quiet confidence and the way he goes about his work, it just builds confidence in everybody. And as you could tell, like later in the season, like the more that he got put on his plate, the better he handled it and the more he excelled. And I think that confidence and belief just went through the whole organization. And it just made us feel like, hey, we can beat. Like our motto was anybody, anywhere, anytime. And we really felt that. And having a guy like him who, even though he was young, held himself to a standard and worked the way he did. I mean, he was getting into the building at 5 a.m. every day,
Wow.
going to work. And I think just that kind of belief and confidence that he has helped us believe in him and then believe in each other even more, and having the confidence that we can go win any game that we get on the field with. So I think he's a special player, and I'm just glad I'm on his team.
Yeah, no question, man. 14 wins. That was really cool to see you guys just kind of, like I said, he burst on the scene, and then you guys just kept taking steps throughout the course of the year. And for you, you get injured in the preseason, you come back, you get signed, and then you're on the practice squad. So for anybody that's kind of like a casual NFL fan and doesn't necessarily understand what that means, to not be a part of the 53-man roster, but also helping the team, what was your weekly role, and where do you feel like you brought like the biggest and best value as a practice squad player?
Yeah. So really, practice squad, we're just giving the looks to the guys. So really, I went against Jane Daniels more than anybody else, going against him, and really just doing whatever we can. We'd have scout team meetings where we study the opponent's defense and try to emulate the best look as possible. I think for me, one of the funnest things on practice squad is doing the punt rushes against our punt team, because you anytime you get to rush the punt 10 times, it's a fun time. So that's I think special teams is where I probably brought the most value. And being a guy that, was kind of if it was on punt rush, being a premier rusher, or if they had a really good gunner, um, just trying to emulate those guys as best as possible, and just being service to whatever the team needed. And I think that's the biggest thing. The role that you play isn't who you are, but it's what your team needs you to do to win. And so, as much as you can buy into whatever role that you're in, then the better that you'll be successful, the team will be successful, and then you can just stick around in this league, because it is a relationship-driven league and a people league. So the more that you can just buy into whatever the team needs, the better off you're going to be. It's easy for a guy on practice squad to get down and kind of get mad that they're not playing, but the more that you can just buy into, this is what I need to do to stick around and to help our team win, then, the sky's the limit from there.
You mentioned you got to go up against Jaden Daniels more than probably anybody else. Give me a favorite story that you have where you kind of balled out in practice, and maybe not even specifically against Jaden, that you could tell the coaches, they were pretty satisfied with what you were able to do out there in terms of giving them a really good look.
Yeah, I'll say, I guess I got two examples. One, so, playing safety, there's a lot of different things you got to do. So you're either like a post safety, so you're just out in the post, going sideline to sideline, roaming the back there, or you're down in the box and you're in the run fits. Now, I'm not much of a great run fitter, but, I can do it every now and again. But you don't really guard a lot of receivers man to man. But we had a corner go down, so they moved me over to the nickel corner, so the slot corner, where I just had to basically press receivers. And I think it was like my second day doing it, and for some reason I was just locking up, and that was probably like my best day that I had there. Another one was probably on special teams. We were going against the team that did a lot of fake punts, and so I had a route as a gunner where I just hard inside release and then break back out, and low key made the guy fall, no big deal, but it was a pretty saucy route. So that was probably one of my better moments. And then I guess another one was when I had to play receiver too, going back to my NAI college days. When I was back at receiver, so I didn't really get the ball that much, but the routes were on point, so that made me happy.
Hey man, you as my coach was trying to put me in a bunch of different positions. Maybe it's really you, Ben. They got to start trying to experiment a little bit, getting you mix and matching a little offense, defense, special teams. Maybe just never even come off the field. One of those Travis Hunter types.
Hey man, the more you can do, right?
Always. The more value you can bring, of course. But season's over right now. Obviously, your last game yesterday. So describe what that's like now in the NFL. So you go in, you guys clean out your locker? Do you have time like away from the team where you're not even allowed into the building? Or what do the next couple months even look like for you?
Yeah, so today was kind of a sad day. You walk in and they had the boxes ready, and so everybody's cleaning out their lockers. You had the checklist. They had to go check out with the training room and the equipment room, and just get all your ducks in a row. We had a team meeting, and then you meet with your position coaches individually and kind of talk about your off-season plan. And I think, for some guys it's different. Some guys are leaving. They probably already left tonight, going back to wherever their home is and wherever they're going to train at. For me, though, being a rookie, and I'm just like, they have the facility open for you to train at, so I'll just be staying around here local and training with those guys, and doing that till about late April when we get back going again. But some of those guys probably won't see for another 3 months until we get back rolling again. So it's kind of a sad day. Everybody obviously disappointed in the loss yesterday and how that went, but it's one of those things. It's the NFL. It's hard to win, so we just had to pack it up and move on and get ready to go again. So
Yeah, little bittersweet anytime anything that special kind of comes to a close. And I know that you already know, like, the entire side of our family now, we're Commanders fans, even though, kind of a Browns fan still a little bit, but we're pulling for you guys out there. So it was tough for me to watch how it unraveled there in that second half. And I was really disappointed when it looked like the offense was driving down to take the lead, and then Eckler goes down, gets it punched out. I thought maybe that they should replay that or something. It might have been just my new Commander's bias kicking in. I don't know, but it felt like it was just kind of an avalanche that you guys couldn't get out from under. But hey, that's life, that's sports, that's football, game of inches, and all that type of stuff, man. But
right.
Really hope that you enjoy the off season, and I know that you're going to stay working hard. You're going to continue to work out. Any chance that we get you back in Craig this summer, hanging out over at Grandma's house, doing some skippo, and that I can take you up to the House of Pain at Moffat County High School if you want to get in some more work around the track?
Yeah, I'm sure we can make something like that happen. My schedule's pretty free right now, so anytime you want to get this work, just let me know.
My guy. All right, Ben. Hey, thanks so much for the time, brother. Hopefully we can cross paths again this summer, and we'll stay in touch, baby. Let me know what you're doing for some of your workouts, and I'll try to get on your level. Who knows? Maybe a late game run for me might not be out of the cards.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thank you for the time.
All right, Ben Nikkel, everybody. My future cousin. Really cool to hear his story, and I hope that a lot of our younger viewers out there and the high school kids, that they really get something out of that, because when I first got to meet Ben and then just kind of heard about, a walk-on and a kid that was super dedicated, and obviously he's got the cerebral talent to make it happen. He was maybe even considering going into coaching or doing some recruiting type of stuff until they saw him at the Big 12 Combine, and I mean, just the guy, I seen him in the basketball gym. He can do like 360 dunks. He was putting on like 225 pounds and doing these big jumps and stuff. So just NFL athletes are built a little bit different, and I'm glad that I got one in my family now. So looking forward to seeing how things develop out there for Ben and the boys. But what a bright future they have, a super young team, and just disappointing to see it all kind of come to a close. But Philly's the real deal. It's been the #1 defense all year, and they kind of proved it yesterday. So I think we're going to do an old switcheroo here. What we are talking about doing the high school sports Lucky 7 next, but since we got on the air a little bit late with that Lucas East Knox game running kind of long, we are going to jump forward in time here because we've got a very special guest on the line. Fresh off of an amazing comeback on Saturday in the Valley to win their 7th consecutive MOAC championship, and I believe fresh off of a team mill as well. Can you all please welcome my friend, Miss Natalie Lance. What's up, Miss Lance? What's going on? Where are you at right now? Say again, Natalie. I didn't pick that up at first. Yeah, no audio from Natalie. Oh, was that her? There we go. All right, so what's going down? Tell me about the team meal tonight. What you get into?
We had chicken tenders and salad and fries and wings and cookies for dessert. Good stuff.
Yeah, the hearty meals. Who would you say, who's like the best eater on the team? One portion's not enough. Seconds and thirds are always a priority.
Ooh, that'd be hard to pick, but I will tell you they can eat.
Yeah, high school kids tend to do that. It always amazes me.
Yeah.
And I think back on some of the meals that I used to put away, and it's like, good Lord.
Oh, yeah.
My poor belly. How do we do it? But so I talked to you right after the win in the Valley. You guys don't lead in that game until the closing seconds, really. Like, you were down by as many as 16 in the third quarter, and you were like, I think I'm going to be up for 3 days. So have you been able to get any rest, or has it just been all adrenaline flowing through your body since that Saturday night comeback?
There was a lot of adrenaline for sure, but no, doing better now. Got some sleep last night, and I'll probably call it an early night tonight. So.
How would you best explain what we all saw together on Saturday night? Because I had to go back and kind of watch how things played out from that game, where it was just it was kind of a matter of will. It didn't really feel necessarily like Clear Fork gave that thing away. Your girls just stepped up to the occasion and they started hitting some shots, and then defensively they locked in. So, from your vantage point as a coach, where do you feel like you really had a lot of little wins that ended up adding to the ultimate victory at the end of the night?
I think we went into the locker room at halftime, and the girls were confident. We told them some of the things that we needed to do a better job of, and obviously we wanted to limit how many shot attempts Clear Fork got. They're a great shooting team. But it was really just the grit and the will to win. Like, they weren't going to let that one slip away. And, we did shoot well from the field and from behind the arc. We made key free throws down the stretch, but two big things, down the stretch, I would say would be, we called a timeout, drew up an out-of-bounds play for Eve, and we ran something a little bit different just to try and free her up a different way. And, I think teams have seen us kind of put a post low and do kind of an old-school type play, like a handoff to the inbounder. So we did something a little bit different, and we brought Alyssa Booker over. I mean, she's such a smart player, and she does all the little things right. So watching the video back was awesome because you saw how good a screen Alyssa Booker set. Yeah. And Eve was able to nail that three in the corner, which put us down 2. And then a possession or 2 later, Eve draws 2 and kicks it to Soph Long. Soph Long skips it to Alyssa Booker, and she knocks down a 3. So 2 huge back-to-back threes. And then, you just saw the confidence just soar with these kids. And, we got a couple stops. Our goal was Barnett and Blue Ball, they're great players. And a lot goes through those two. So it was, we wanted to put as much pressure and just try and wear them down the best we could. And at the end of the game, they missed some free throws and they missed a layup. And, it just gave us the opportunity. It put them, unfortunately, in a situation where they had to foul us. But it was a great game. That was an epic comeback. I'm just proud of my girls for just gritting it out.
Do you ride the team bus to and from games?
We do, yes.
Okay, so what was the vibe like afterwards? I just envisioned like the ultimate dance party, like a 1990s rave, and just kids just all gassed up, obviously, and I think the pizza after the game and all that adrenaline. We keep them quiet on the bus. But, when we get back home, they always, as we're pulling into the high school, they sing the fight song. And then we kind of have a routine in the locker room after we mark up our wins and what our goals are, if we hit our goals. We also, tally to the program record. And the girls get hyped about that. We do a short, little cheer to send everybody off, and we're on our way. And so we did the same thing as normal, but yeah, they were pretty hyped up. I know they've only beaten you once since they've been in the MOAC, so maybe don't look at them as such. But Clear Fork kind of seems to be the top contender here these last couple of years. They did get you last season, I think, or a couple of years back. But are they your number one rival right now in the MOAC, or how does Shelby view that right now? What is the biggest game that you feel like you guys kind of circle on the calendar before things even tip off?
This year, just looking at who's back, Clear Fork was definitely at the top of our list. And, of course, I think Pleasant was up there as well. We saw Harding at 3-on-3 over. They had Mitchell back, which she's been one of the top players in the conference for 4 years now. So, we kind of had a list. It just, we knew we didn't want to overlook anybody. We wanted to take one game at a time, but we've had some difficult stretches. But yeah, I'd say right off the bat, I would say Clear Fork, Pleasant were probably our top 2.
And then you got Bellevue tomorrow. You've had some awesome back-and-forth showdowns with that team dating back to when you guys were in the same league together. So plenty of juice for this one, too. Natalie, 33-2 combined records. You got to go on the road for that one. Do you feel like this is probably going to be your biggest test of the regular season before you break into that tournament?
Yeah, you think about it, Clear Fork had a really good game with Bellevue as well. Yeah. I think at the end they ended up losing by 2, Clear Fork did. but that they played them really, really well. And then so playing Clear Fork twice, I think is a great telltale for us. Um, and then Reynoldsburg right off the bat earlier this season, Division One program that had 3 starters back from their state championship team 3 years ago. That makes a difference too. So, it's neat. We've seen a lot of different defenses this season so far, and it's really helped us prepare for down the stretch here. Bellevue's really good. They're ranked number 1 in D4 right now, ahead of us by a few, but they have pretty much everybody back from last year, and all their main players, their top 3 players back from last year. They've got a nice quick point guard, and so it's definitely going to be a test for us. They're big, they're strong. They've got 7 kids that shoot the ball really well, so we're going to have to be on it.
Yeah, we're going to be up there. We'll have some coverage. We'll get a highlight and then an MVP interview from that game. Hopefully it's a Lady Whippet doing that MVP interview. We only talk to winners. Natalie, you know how it goes here on the OH Report.
Yep.
But with the 8 seniors, I wasn't sure if you were going to have players with you or not here tonight. So I'm going to let you answer a few of these questions just to try to identify on the roster just kind of who plays what role on the team, okay?
Yep.
All right, who would you say is kind of the comic relief, always trying to make everybody smile, and then maybe sometimes can even get the group in trouble because they're just always trying to be getting the laughs?
Soph Long, I'd say she gets people rolling sometimes. Serena, she's a different character too. I would say those 2 probably on the varsity, and then like JV, who dresses varsity, I'd say Carly Walp. She's pretty funny. But they're good kids, and they're a lot of fun.
Who's the gym rat who would play in a house? They would play with a mouse. They're just always hooping. They don't care where.
That's gonna be Eve. I like hands down Eve. And it's been neat. I know Trent's got in the gym a bit, and Charlie's been in the gym, and Soph Long, she gets in the gym a bit. So, we definitely have some kids that hit the gym in off hours, but Eve is there all the time.
Who's the team mom that just stays on top of everyone to do their homework, pack a snack, have some clean socks extra in the backpack? Who's keeping everybody organized?
Oh boy, I'd say like the one that stands out the most is Olivia Fritz. We were talking about tonight, you could see her when we went down and watched our middle school play. Like, she was just kind of the mother hen, making sure everybody was getting where they needed to be or whatnot. So,
who is the team billboard that's always wearing team gear to school, the gym, the store, etc.? It's Lady Whippets on their chest and on their pants and on their shoes all the time.
I feel like that's probably more Soph Long, maybe. A lot of girls wear their T-shirts and stuff, and I don't know. That one could go to a few different ones, I would say.
Do you have a team enforcer that if you really need to send a message, maybe deliver a nice hard foul down the lane or someone, a girl that likes to kind of fill those shoes?
I would say Eve's the leader there. Like, she'll kind of talk and make sure, but Serena's the one that can really voice up, and so she can definitely make sure people are doing what they need to do.
What about the team influencer? I don't know how many social medias you're on, but who do you think has the best social media presence right now?
Oh, geez. I don't know, Brian. That's not a good one to ask me. I'd have to ask the girls.
Sure. What about like a big softie that you'll see like that they're crying over watching a TikTok video that they got an A on their assignment and they can't hold back the emotion?
A big softie. I don't know. You stumped me on that one.
Well, and since it's not too far past President Trump being put into office for the second time, who would you say is the most presidential, the most likely to run for Congress, state senate, or maybe even president one day?
Light. Oh boy.
maybe
I'd
there
say
is no option.
my most vocal is Serena. My most vocal is probably Serena. But I don't know that she'd run for president.
Yeah. Fair. Well, hey, Natalie, we appreciate you giving us some time here. Congrats on winning another MOAC championship. 7 in a row is getting crazy, though. Like, you're starting to run out of, like, ring fingers at this point. You might have to start duplicating a couple of your hands. So, keep up the good work. I'm sure you're going to be the number 1 seed. And tournament draws this Sunday, right? Like, we're about to find out the brackets very soon?
Tournament draw is next Sunday.
Okay. Super Bowl Sunday?
Let me double check, but yeah.
Dang.
No, wait. It's Sunday. I believe it's Sunday.
Okay.
Listen, I'm focused on game day tomorrow. I'll worry about everything else later.
Yeah, how dare I jump ahead here. So, hey, thanks again for the time, Natalie. Enjoy your night, and we'll be seeing you tomorrow night up in Bellevue.
Sounds good. Thanks, Brian.
Anytime. The great Natalie Lance. Always love hearing from her. She brings such positive spirit and energy, and obviously she's one of the all-time winners that we have in the girls' game in this area. Been doing it for more than a dozen years, and just the winning, it keeps coming. And you look at the schedule moving forward here at Bellevue tomorrow, that will be the biggest test still remaining, even though they do have Pleasant coming up on February 6th, and they have to go on the road for that one. But they could have already clinched an outright MOAC championship with a win over Ontario. That's at home coming up on Friday night. And then they do still have Lexington on February 3rd and Mansfield Senior on the 8th. So a lot of Richland County flavor still on the schedule for them, and they'll get an idea of where they stack in terms of the local teams. But 2-0 this year against Clear Fork, that really speaks, because the Lady Colts, this is maybe the most potent team that they've ever had offensively, and super fun to watch. And we had some commenters saying on the stream on Saturday, and I could not agree more, that it was one of those real big bummer games that somebody had to lose that one, because as well as Shelby played at the very end of the game, it was Clear Fork for 2.5 quarters that clearly to me looked like the better team. So the fact that they get to play Division 5 in the tournament really bodes well, I think, for the Lady Colts. We'll see Shelby in D4 this year. They adding the couple of different divisions, actually 3 to be exact. So could be possibility, just like we saw in soccer and volleyball too, that more teams are going to go deeper into the tournament. But certainly I think that those 2 teams that just battled it out on Saturday, they would be my 2 favorites from our own backyard to make deep tournament runs. I could see both of them competing in regionals moving forward. We're going to go ahead and move forward here with the show, and let's keep going from where we're at here. So we'll save the Sports Lucky 7 for last, and we'll get to the 7 best high school sports memories, moments that we just had from these past 7 days. But I see that my man is hanging out on the line right now, and it's been a whole week since Ohio State won the national championship, knocking off Notre Dame to break their 10-year curse, or absence, if you will, from bringing home that big trophy. And I know this guy's been partying ever since, so I can't wait to see kind of like how he's looking and how he's holding up right now. Please welcome to the show the writer of the Cleebus, Buckeye superfan, Lucas Wickizer.
Hey Brian, how's it going?
Man, I am doing great. Well, what about you, brother? How you hanging in from a nice long week of just feeling like a champion?
Oh man, I'm feeling pretty good, but I got one question for you.
Hit me with it.
You think you could pull Pat Mahomes next week for the podcast? I mean, heck, you had Kate Stover last week. You had Ben Nikkel today. I mean, dude, you're pulling some big ones here.
Hey, well, we're trying to keep that NFL flavor going during the playoffs while it's still here and it's still top of mind, even though I guess the NFL never really falls off. The offseason it still feels like it's number one in team terms of everybody paying attention. But, yeah, well, we're trying to kick things up here. We got a little bit lackadaisical. We kind of enjoyed our holiday break. Took us a little while to get back into the swing of things, Lucas. So, we keep it obviously with our mainstays, and everyone loves seeing you come on the show. But trying to take it up a little notch here in 2025, buddy. But hey, let's talk about these Buckeyes, bro, because I remember talking to you last Monday, and you were going to get, maybe a couple of adult beverages to sit down and enjoy the game at home. And then in your post-game article, which I just devoured here about an hour ago, I mean, you really talk about how much Ohio State football has meant to you personally. So I would like you to expand on that and just describe to our audience just how meaningful games like Monday have been to you, and just how much that victory can really impact. Obviously, there's millions and millions of Buckeye fans out there, and just what it's meant for you.
Oh yeah, I think the victory is obviously huge. I'm excited. I'm happy, but it's kind of bittersweet. I mean, it was a great win for Ohio State. I'm glad Ohio State won, obviously, but it's a little bit bittersweet because this one meant a lot to me. Because my friend Andy Baldridge from Cary, he was a state trooper and he loved the Irish, but he sadly passed away about 15 years ago, and so that's why I root for Notre Dame as my second team. But I was kind of smirking a little bit. I was like, I'm not rooting against Ohio State tonight. Andy can haunt me. I don't care. But yeah, he loved Notre Dame. I love him. I miss him. He loved the Irish. And then, like I said in my article, Ohio State football has been in my blood since I was about 5 years old. I learned football from my dad. We watched Buckeye games together. I'd see him get excited. He'd start screaming. I'd scream with him as a little boy, and then I'd be like, what happened? Yeah. And then he would teach me that. And so it's just things like that. That's why Ohio State football means a lot to me. It's just it's gotten me through some rough times. I know sports is sports to a lot of people. It's just a game to a lot of people. But for those of us who get emotionally invested in our teams and who love them with everything we got, I mean, that's just fandom, man. I don't know how else to explain it. I'll have to sit down and you could have a whole episode just on this alone. But yeah, it was wonderful seeing the Buckeyes win. And even though I still respect Marcus Freeman, I'm glad the trophy's tinged a little scarlet and gray this year.
Yeah, it's hard to describe to anybody that didn't grow up in a household like yours and mine, and I've told this story many a times that me and both of my siblings brought home from the hospital and were in Cleveland Browns onesies, and that's just what we had on our walls, and Ohio State football,
right.
That's just what we did on Saturdays. We didn't know why when we were little kids, but we just knew that we were supposed to scream at the TV anytime the guys that had on the scarlet uniforms did something good in those silver bullets, and just what that meant. So super fun to see them come out and ball out there in the game on Monday night and get that trophy back to Columbus. But let's kind of revisit the game a little bit, because it didn't start necessarily in our favor, of course. The longest drive in national championship history, 18 plays, 10 minutes. Notre Dame caps it off with a touchdown. What were your initial thoughts after you saw that? Was there any type of a worry? Because nobody had really been scoring on our defense early on in games during the stretch where we've just been so dominant.
I'll be honest, I definitely was concerned. I didn't see how fatigued Riley Leonard was, apparently, Notre Dame's quarterback. But I think Marcus Freeman ran him 8 or 9 times on that drive, quarterback run. And it did work, but I was nervous at how methodically Notre Dame moved down the field on that first drive. I didn't see how fatigued Leonard was. But apparently, even though I'm not glad he got sick, but apparently he was so worked up and fatigued that Ohio State made him throw up after that drive on the sidelines. So, it was kind of a worry when I saw Notre Dame move like they did. But then once I realized what was going on, I was like, there's no way they can sustain this for 4 quarters. There is no way. And that's where the defense would have had to come in and make more plays than what they did for Notre Dame. And they didn't, fortunately.
The running game for Ohio State was awesome, and then you felt the momentum start to swing like almost immediately, Lucas, after we got the football for the first time, and then we score, and then it just kind of all piled up. And you look at the yards, and they piled up too, 214 of them, and we stuck to the run game. I was actually really proud that we were able to do that against a stout Notre Dame defense with the 41 carries, averaging 5.2 yards per clip. So just how impressed were you with the running effort of, well, Howard got involved more as a runner than we've seen all season long, but obviously it was the 2 stud running backs, Judkins, and of course Travion Henderson, who's going to be dearly missed in Columbus. Just how impressed were you with what they as a trio were able to provide?
Oh yeah, I was definitely impressed, because I was thinking that if we were going to get drawn into a run game versus run game battle, that would unfortunately be like another Michigan game. Because when we played Michigan, we tried to out Michigan, which was, run the ball down their throat when we have all these weapons on the passing game. But to see Ohio State kind of reverse the script here and do that against Notre Dame, that was definitely a welcome surprise. But it's really gonna hurt for next year, even though Ohio State always reloads. I mean, Howard, Henderson, and I think Judkins is also gone. I think he declared for the draft recently. So, yeah, they're all going to be gone. It's going to be interesting to see what Coach Day does to retool and reload.
Well, we'll get Jeremiah Smith back. In your article, you
Yep.
call him Mr. Clutch. That 3rd and 11, 2
Oh,
minutes,
man.
45 seconds left. Biggest play of the game, certainly, and just the exceptional talent that he is. I mean, that kid is special, Luke. He deserves that NIL deal that he just signed, and boy, we're all really excited that we don't have to defend him on Saturdays. What a kid
Right.
to have still coming back for 2 more years, right?
Right, absolutely. The one thing, and I'm glad he's excited. I'm glad he is confident in his abilities, and maybe that's just who he is. I don't know. But the one thing, when I always see him talking, about don't try to cover me man on man, he's like, I always think of the old saying is no matter how good you are, there's always somebody better than you on any given day. And believe it or not, even though Jeremiah Smith is great, there might be a cornerback out there one of these years that could cover him like white on rice. And you really don't want to give anybody some bulletin board material. But hey, like Charles Barkley and some of these other athletes that are outspoken, if you can back it up, good for you. It's just not my style. If I was him, I would just be quiet and play hard and let the play do the talking. But if you can back it up, good for him. And he's got a ring, so he can back it up.
So Will Howard, he gets the game MVP, 231 yards and a couple of touchdowns. You talked about the fact we're going to be losing Judkins now, and then obviously Trey Henderson. There's going to be some dudes going off into the league. Starting to forecast for next year, it looks like Julian Saint's probably going to be the guy at quarterback, or at least he'll probably be given more opportunities than anybody else. But Tavion St. Clair from Bellefontaine, too, the 5-star that has already gone out there, and he's early enrolled. He should be a senior in high school right now. Do you have any thoughts or expectations for either of those two names, or maybe even somebody else? I think I saw Aaron Noland has left and is going somewhere else, maybe to the SEC. Do you feel like it's going to be one of those two guys that are going to be competing for the starting job?
Yeah, I'll be quite honest. I haven't even really thought about 2025 yet as far as the quarterback situation, but I did see Saint is extremely high rated, coming over from Alabama. But no, I haven't really looked at who's going to be the quarterback for this next year. I'll have to start doing some research. But the one thing that I don't know if this is interconnected, and I know you texted me earlier before the show, Chip Kelly's the quarterback whisperer.
Yeah.
And so if he can develop one of these guys into another top-tier quarterback, and maybe Saint has the tools to be even as good or better than Haskins and those others and C.J. Stroud. But if Chip Kelly can develop these quarterbacks, who knows, man? Sky's the limit. The main thing for us is we got to keep Chip Kelly on board. I heard the Texans and Jaguars are the main ones trying to pursue him. So it's trying to fend off some raids here.
The rumor mill is definitely churning right now with Chip Kelly's name, and he is all over it. But a guy that we know for sure is going to be leaving town. You wrote an article on it yesterday. Jim Knowles packs his bags and heads out to Happy Valley. So that hurts a little bit. I believe he's from that part of the country, but there it is right
He's
there.
Philly.
Leaving Ohio State, heading to be the defensive coordinator for Penn State, and he's going to be rewarded handsomely, of course. But you called it in your article. You said it's a shocking move right there. Why do you think ultimately that he was able to get sniped away from Columbus?
I don't know, and I don't want to get too big into the rumor mill unless we're okay to do that. I've tried to be with that one. I try to be really journalistic because there's a lot we don't know, and there's a lot of things that fans have said. Oh, him and Larry Johnson didn't get along, the defensive line coach, or Knowles and Day feuded. We don't know any of that. None of us are in the locker rooms. We don't hear anything, But I think maybe just going home might have been the thing for him. I mean, and I'm not making fun of him, but he is in his I think he is close to 60 years old. So I don't know how many more years he's got left to coach, and maybe he just wanted to go home and be with his family. I mean, if that truly was the reason, even though he was asking for a big paycheck, if that truly was the big reason, the deciding factor going home, I guess I can't blame him, even though it still does sting. And I'm sorry, Franklin won't win with a better defensive coordinator. Penn State's problems are on offense, not defense. But, hey, if Knowles wanted to go to Penn State to go closer to home, so be it.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We'll find somebody else to replace him, I'm sure. Have you heard any names just yet? Any potential candidates?
Yeah, I've heard a couple, and I'm going to butcher this guy's first name. I'm going to get used to it if he's hired as our DC, but I think Matt Guerreri is his name. You know, and I think he learned under Jim Knowles when I think he was like a co-defensive coordinator or positions coach at Duke when Knowles was a defensive coordinator for the Blue Devils. And I guess Knowles still had kind of a lot of the same system there. You know, if Guerreri's hired as the new DC, which I've heard a lot of fans are already clamoring for him to be hired for the Buckeyes or by the Buckeyes for the DC job, they won't really switch the defensive system, which I think is the best thing you can do because, you know, and I know the Browns and Buckeyes are different, but I've seen enough switches from 3-4 to 4-3 to 3-3-5 stack to 5-2. It's just like stick with an identity and just build around that. And so Guerreri being hired would help with that. But then Tim Walton, I think, is another one, and I think he's the defensive backs coach right now for Ohio State, and he was an alumni of Ohio State in the 90s, and so he's got that experience. He won a national championship on Nick Saban's staff in 03 with LSU as a defensive backs coach. So it's either you stick with your same system or you go with the more experienced coach, or you go with somebody completely outside of those walls at the Woody Hayes Center. So but yeah, Walton and Guerreri are the two main names I'm hearing right now. And I think if I had to pick one of those two, I'd probably pick Guerreri.
Well, whoever gets the job, they're going to have to replace a bunch of dudes, of course. A lot of seniors on that team, plenty of talent going on to the NFL or just beyond their eligibility. So the cupboard's never bare in Columbus. They're going to have plenty of dudes coming in that are going to be taking over, so some five-star guys. I know that we've got a really exciting defensive back that's going to be coming through the program too. So the future's always bright, right? When you're a Buckeye, and I love Will Howard. That was one of my favorite comments that he used time and time again. You know, just thank God for making me a Buckeye. And it was really cool just to hear that over and over because it's a pretty special place, Luke, and a special season. Before I let you go, what do you think you're going to remember most about the 2024 National Championship winning Ohio State Buckeyes?
I'm just going to remember, I think, resiliency, you know, and I'll be the first one. And I know he won't watch this, but I'm still going to say it for the record. Coach Ryan Day, I am sorry. I owe you an apology, sir, because like so many after we lost Michigan, I wasn't like fire Ryan Day or threaten his family. That kind of stuff going on is wrong. You know, if you're threatening the coach's family, that's wrong. But I was disappointed in him. I'm like, how much more do you need, man? You've got the keys to the Ferrari. But again, like I said, I'll remember the 2024 Ohio State team for being resilient. I mean, these guys, I'm sure they heard everything. They heard everything. They knew their backs were against the wall with Tennessee. I didn't think they were going to do what they did. And then when they did what they did to Tennessee, it's just like, this is the team we've been waiting for all year. And then I was like, okay, can they sustain this for 4 weeks? Because I really didn't think they could. Or for 4 games, I didn't think they could. And then they just kept going. But it's just resiliency and living up to their potential. And I know it's easy to say we want that every year, and we do want that every year. But I don't think I've ever seen an Ohio State team, when they were on, playing at that high of a level against Oregon and Tennessee and Notre Dame and Texas. Resiliency and living up to the potential. Those are the two things I remember most. And I think that's the most special national championship run I've ever seen in my life. I mean, 02 was special. They knocked off Miami. 14 was great. They knocked off Alabama. But you had to go through 4 successive weeks, a month of just grueling, just game plans and, you know, just battling down to the final whistle. They couldn't let up. They had basically a new game every 10 days against progressively better and tougher opponents. So resiliency and just living up to the potential. My, oh my, what a run.
Yeah, the haters can say what they want about a 2-loss national champion, but you're absolutely right. When you clean out basically the entire top 8 in the final rankings, you've beat 6 of them. That's a special season, and I'm going to totally agree with you. I would check both of those boxes too. I think just what they were able to overcome and then the potential of this team, it was through the roof. So I can't wait to see, honestly, what quite a few of these guys end up doing in the NFL, Luke. So always great to talk to you, brother. Keep enjoying this one. You can hang out on Cloud 9 for just as long as you want. Keep on those Buckeye beads, and it's always sunny in Columbus, my friend.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on, Brian, and go Bucks.
Anytime. The writer of the Cleabus, Mr. Lucas Wickheiser. Always great to have him on here. Happy to talk to that dude always, and just the perspective. And if you didn't get a chance to read any of his articles from Ohio State's season, including yesterday where he didn't break the news, but he was pretty quick to the punch here with Jim Knowles departing. I'm sure that when we have some more shakeups during this offseason, that Lucas is going to be able to keep you up to speed with everything that's going down in Columbus. And then if we finally get some positive Browns news, we'll be sharing that too. But hey, we had a lot of cool things happen in high school. I think it's mostly just basketball that you're going to be looking at, but actually maybe some canines are going to be making an appearance on the list. So I'm going to bring in my producer now for what we're going to call the High School Sports Lucky 7. He's going to set these up for me. He asked around all the other different OH reporters. I have one in the mix here. Everybody else got to kind of pick one moment that they thought was absolutely awesome from the last 7 days. So, Mr. Thompson, set it up. What do we got to start?
We are going to start things off with our Lucky 7. We definitely need a better name for that. But we're going to start things off down in one of Travis Berardi's favorite places to go and visit. Can you guess?
You said one of.
Yeah, well, okay. Where he's actually got a room. They let him stay.
The king of the castle. Of course. We're heading to Northmore.
That's right. Jack Swenger going
Hey.
off for 21 points and a half.
Yeah, this dude, we kind of knew the potential. We were talking about it with Ohio State and when they're at their best, that they're kind of unbeatable. I feel like this unquestionably is the best player in the K-MAC, and he proved it in this first half performance. Jack Swenger, when he gets his aggressive meter going up into the RPMs where it's kind of redlining, he's tough to slow down. So 21 points in the first half. He probably could have gone for way more. Only finished with 23 for the game because the job was done. The victory was all but written. So big ups to Jax for landing on Coach B's Ballers list this past week.
That's not a bad number. Is that close to your high record and a half from high school?
Actually, I have two different ways to look at it. My junior and senior year when I was a full-time varsity player was only 17 points, so I never even did what Jax did in 2 quarters. However, on the JV team as a sophomore, we used to play varsity opponents when they would be a smaller school than us, and as a sophomore, I did put up 24 points in a game, so it depends how the cookie crumbles and what you decide.
There you go, Mr. Wenger. You're 1 point away from tying Mr. Skorensky's high school JV versus seniors. All right, moving on to number 2 from our lucky number 7. Buckeye Central's Phil Loy scored his 200th victory.
Yeah, that's a ton of wins. That means that you've been doing it at a high rate of consistency for a while. And Phil's been in and out of coaching. That program, they got a good one coming back when Abram Capel stepped aside and all the championships that he had won. Like, who's going to fill that void? Nobody better than this guy, and he kind of proved it. I mean, you think about, you'd have to coach for at least 10 seasons and win 20 games per season to get to that mark. So that already lets you know that you have to have a decade of amazing basketball just to land there. So this is certainly one not to poo-poo. It's a big accomplishment. Phil's one of the nicest dudes around, athletic director, coach extraordinaire, and just super excited for him and the girls out in New Washington for accomplishing that feat.
He loves that program, and you can tell because I deal with mainly athletic directors in any capacity, and it's not just a red carpet. It's a red carpet he rolls out for just all of us. He wants that product and the program to succeed in any capacity, even if they can't be on the floor. Maybe they can shine somewhere else. So congrats, Phil, on such an awesome accomplishment. I can't even think of anything I've done for 10 years I'm proud of.
Yeah, I'll support that too with my own life.
But we also made ourselves a new number 1 fan over at the Mountaintop.
Oh, boy.
That's right. I don't like OH.Report. I love that.
Okay, so this was sent to me in a group message, and I was just like, I wonder what we said or what we did, and like, why you mad, bro, type of thing. And then, of course, leave it to the young people to kind of fill you in. I guess this is a thing that's going on, a trend, as they say. And by saying by virtue that he does not like us, I'm told actually means that it's a little white lie on his white t-shirt, and that actually he's a fan of the OH Report. So I'd like to know know who this guy was, but we did have a Buckeye Central fan last year that made a custom jacket when he went and covered him in the tournament and got a bunch of the other fans to sign it. It had an OH.Report logo on it. So maybe a cousin of that person, whoever you are, we salute you. We thank you. And at the next Buckeye Central game, we got to give this kid some more airtime.
Well, I was going to say, while we were looking here, I have a clip from Upper Sandusky crowd surfing that I was going to try to. Upper Sandusky's fans, they're hard to beat. It's just a fantastic group of kids there. They're always packed out, and come on, you get shirts like that. I don't care if they like it or hate it. Our name is on a shirt. Coming soon to the OH.Report store, you can get this shirt. Moving right along, Galleon. I gotta actually turn up some tunes for this one. So
okay.
Make sure I've got some audio on this because you're gonna want to tune in to this.
And go for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more.
Get your hands together.
Take my horse to the old town road.
That's right.
Not to toot my own horn, but those are my hands in the
No
background.
more.
There you go. Bonus points.
And yeah, Travis is bonus points. But yeah, such a cool event. We've been having some fun over on Coach's Corner, getting folks to sing. And nobody really wanted to sing. And I don't know half these kids, even if they're the superstars. But this poor guy, he was just there as the peanut gallery. He didn't even get to come on to the show until it was his time to shine.
Yeah, you
And
want to talk about the
boy,
sixth
did
man
he.
of the year right there, coming off the bench and just spitting bars, baby. Getting that Lil Nas X going, getting the clapping, and even had you clapping over in your producer chair.
I
So
could not help.
that's
It
pretty
was
cool.
Very cool. So we've had some nice singing moments over on Coach's Corner. But also, here we go. We've got a Bryce Coder was down in Big Walnuts. And, well, things got a little bit fun during the halftime.
A little bit furry, too.
Yes, and you know me, I'm a sucker for the dogs. And thank you to Bryce for putting 8 whole minutes of this together for me.
Yeah, the basketball, it's always good down in the OCC, but this might have been the main attraction down at the Eagles' Nest. I mean, look at the leaping ability, and then the owner, too, man. This is some dedication. This is some great training. The little spin to put him down on the floor, and that's great acceleration right there just to catch up.
I mean, and I can only imagine that they probably didn't know this was happening. And sometimes for halftime, our camera people get to kind of get a drink, maybe go to the restroom. Not today. You are going to be filming some canine cam in the middle of a gym. Very cool.
Yeah, anytime that you get a halftime show at the high school games, it's kind of rare. I mean, a lot of times they'll bring out some of the youth programs. They'll play a little game. Clear Fork, of course, has the mini Colts, and they're always super fun to watch. But this is big time right here. So shout out Brian Shelton down there at Big Walnut getting this together for the halftime show. Because this, I mean, are you not entertained, people? Come on. I bet they were like, yo, can we put 10 more minutes on that halftime buzzer before it goes off? We want more of that collie going nuts.
I mean, this guy is doing some craziness. Maybe we can find a way to combine this with the mini Colts and just make one of the most epic halftime shows ever. Also, probably going to want to tune some audio up for this one. With the presidential campaign behind us, well, is it? I'm actually not even sure anymore, but oh, a little bit of doggo. My buddy Joe sure knows a little bit about it.
Make it great again. Donald Trump's doing that for America, and he used to host his own show. The inauguration looked pretty fun the other day, and I mean, Ronald Reagan, he was both an actor and a president. You know, maybe I could do that.
Here we go again.
Oh, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming. Today is Liberation Day for all of our viewers. And oh, there are so many. We have the greatest viewers in the world.
Can't argue with that.
From this day forward, the Joe Show will flourish and be respected again all over the basketball world. We will be the envy of every show in every nation.
Orange there for a minute.
Carrie Underwood is here, but not needed, as I will perform my own rendition of America the Beautiful. The golden age of your viewing experience begins right now.
Okay, so if you've been tuning into the Joe Show this season, obviously you're aware that Coach Baylog, he's taken this thing to new levels that I wasn't aware that he was interested in. So as the executive producer and writer of a lot of this content, it's really up to Joe to kind of fulfill the character and embody it. And I thought that this was maybe his peak performance so far.
This was fantastic. I'm just glad that he's able to cram in a little bit of basketball into this show that he does.
Sometimes.
Yeah, it's just kind of like it needs to get in there. But this was phenomenal. Tip my hat to you, sir. Very well produced, and just Joe. We don't even need the audio. I'm just going to sit back here and hear what this guy's lips are going to say.
No, I got to ask him, like, what? I think he was trying to do a little Trumpish type of accent there, but I'm not really sure what started coming out.
It starts to slide in and out. And when you're having that much fun, maybe you kind of forget that you're not an actor and you are a former Hall of Fame high school coach. So I think he does pretty well for a former coach and a now it's hard to keep up with his accolades, but presidential run in 2028, I assume, also is so many alternate egos. I love it. But that's not it. That's only 6.
Oh.
If you're keeping track.
What's
at home.
lucky number 7 then?
Well, lucky number 7, we kind of hinted on throughout the evening, especially when we had on one of our 3 guests. But the 7th, I don't think these are in any particular order, has to be that whip-it comeback that you and I were both at. And we're still picking our jaw up off of the ground at what we saw, what we witnessed, and how it all took place.
It really felt like Clear Fork was going to landslide Shelby in this game. At multiple points, they were up at least 15 points. They got it as high as 16 on a few occasions, including late in the third quarter. And I scrubbed through it a couple hours ago before we came on set, just looking, and I was like, I need to be reminded of exactly how this transpired, and it still doesn't all add up for me. I can't make sense of it. Natalie Lance can't really necessarily, I think, pinpoint exactly how they were able to pull it off, but it doesn't matter. When the scoreboard says that you've got a couple more points than your opponent and you were down that big, that late, it's a special type of performance, and oh, by the way, all they did was lock up a 7th consecutive MOAC championship with the victory. So kudos to all the Lady Whippets in the senior class. 8 of them, all they've ever known is winning a league title. And because of this crazy play right here, this was the first time that they led the entire game. I can't even – how much time's on the clock? Not very much. 45 seconds or something?
I was going to say we had a head in the way. It was under a minute. Because the crowd was going nuts there. But, yeah, going into the half, it was like, well, I guess we'll stick around for the second part of this one. We're kind of obligated to do so, but we already know how this is going to play out. Nobody, except maybe the 8 seniors, Natalie, and a couple of people on that coaching staff, thought this was going to be happening at all.
Hot shooting, great defense. It's a recipe for success, and they've been cooking with gas for many years now with Coach Natalie. 13 years on the job. She's done a lot of winning, but this year in this group, that might be one of the most special runs that they've ever had, and this will be the moment, I'm sure. There's still some games to come, some big ones. The game tomorrow against Bellevue, and then the tournament run. However,
think back.
You're going to remember this one and the adrenaline dump that everybody experienced. And I was kind of surprised to hear when I asked Coach, like, you're riding the bus back. What was that party like? And she's like, we kind of maintain a little bit of quiet. I doubt it after that game.
You got to have that media front up. They can't give us everything. Otherwise, we would have no stories to tell tomorrow. But there's got to be. You're telling me after a comeback like that, after all of that went down, you just sat on the bus all the way back to Shelby, just quiet, just checking your TikToks?
Doubt it.
No.
So there it is, the lucky sevens for you guys. We'll get a better name. We'll be back with this.
We
Maybe
literally
it's
just
kind
came
of fun.
up with that today. I love the idea, especially the crowdsourcing, because you sent me to 2 places last week and asked me to see all the things I saw. And it's like, well, you were at one of them, so I ain't got a lot. So ask it around to everybody, and they did a really good job of hooking me up. And come on, I cannot wait until I can get my hands on one of these shirts.
Yeah, coming to the team store soon. All of them are going to be handmade right off of the $5 cotton section, just like you would appreciate, with authentic Sharpie on them. So $20, I think, sounds like a good starting point. Yeah,
That's a starting point.
or
Maybe
take.
we'll give some proceeds somewhere. I'm
Sure.
assuming Jory's going to be writing these, so a little carpal tunnel, Advil, something like that. But
yeah.
not a bad week for our first time doing this. That's a cool segment with a bad name.
Yeah, we'll improve off of that. But it's going to be hard to go up from these first couple of shows. Like Lucas Wickheiser said, we've had some amazing guests back-to-back weeks with NFL rookies. And those, you know, you want to hear from the superstars and stuff like that, but those are almost more fun stories to hear, like what we had from Cade Stover and kind of his journey and what his season looks like as a 4th-round pick and battling back from injury on multiple occasions. And then a guy like Ben Nikkel, who's super inspiring to me, even though he's about half my age, just knowing the commitment and watching it with my own eyes, because there's crazy athletes all over the place that you hear, in Mansfield specifically, how many names have I been told, yeah, that he should have been in the NBA if he could have just this or that, if he would have caught this break. Sometimes you got to create your own luck, Adam, and I think that's what Ben's done for himself, just with the dedication, the discipline, and it's paying off. So we're gonna try to continue to get more stories like that.
I think we definitely should. I think our audience likes to hear about those, maybe less than you and Travis just going back and forth about how awesome the week was. We know that week was awesome. We have
Yeah,
video
it's always
proof.
good here.
Let's talk to some of these some people that we may not know, or that you know and everybody else should know.
Yeah, so we're going to be off next Monday because we're going to be filming a special episode of The Takedown. Plus, we've got 3 live streams going on, so I just didn't want to step on some of our live casts with a podcast. So we are back. We're better than ever, and we're going to keep bringing the juice for you guys. But we'll have 1 week off, and then we'll be bringing you more of the OH Report video podcast, and I'll keep trying to. Actually, we've already got a couple of guests I lined up today on social media, so I'm going to keep them quiet, but I will tell you that we've got a girl who won not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 state championships in track and field in the same season. She's now doing big things at the college ranks and looking for a national championship. We're going to hear from that young lady coming up here in a couple
Natalie
of weeks.
Lance, isn't it?
Yeah, the suspense. That actually kind of narrows it down. There hasn't been very many that have done that, so you probably already know it's Juliet down at Cincinnati, but she's going to be on the show here in a couple of weeks. All right, what do we got coming up here this week with our many of shows and games? There it is on Monday. You already know that we had Lucas East Knox. That was a good game, boiled down to the wire. Bulldogs end up pulling off the road win. Podcast in the books. Tomorrow, just 1 live stream. It'll be in Girls Hoops. Kenton's going to be at Upper Sandusky. If I got my team up open here.
Let me go ahead and read these for you, Brian,
Yeah,
since
please
I
do.
can actually see the screen.
Thank you.
Wednesday, we've got some more basketball taking place. We've got Denville taking on East Knox. Girls basketball, Little Devil Dog, taking place at 6 o'clock. Also, Cardington taking on Mount Gilead at 7:15. And Fredericktown versus Centerburg at 6:30. There's a theme with these. It sounds like Wednesday is for the KMAC.
KMAC, baby. And actually, the league championship's on the line in the Berg. So if you can't make it down to the heart of Ohio on Wednesday, if you're a fan of girls basketball, you probably should. You can watch it live and free. The winner of that game will indeed win the KMAC.
And so we've got a whole lot stacked for you on Wednesday, but that's not all. We also have Coach's Corner, and I believe you said
we got Winford this week.
Yeah.
Yep, we got the boys and the girls basketball team that are going to be coming in. I don't know the athletes yet, but obviously both of their coaches and Amy Taylor Sheldon, and we talked about what we just saw from Phil Loy winning 200 games. How about a 400-game winner coming into the studio talking with you on Wednesday? So that'll be pretty fun.
Cool. I'm going to feel even less about how good things are going for me. Also, later that night, though, it's going to be the 4th episode, I believe, of The Joe Show?
Episode Episode 5, actually. Yep. Last week was our midway point.
All right, so episode 5 of the Joe Show, and maybe we'll get him to sign some executive orders. Thursday, we've got some more hoops going on. Girls basketball is taking Open Door Christian, taking on Mansfield Christian. That will be with the student-ran operation over at Mansfield Christian School. Also, we've got Shelby, River Valley boys basketball, and South Central taking on Crestview. So a couple of conference matches taking place on Thursday. Friday, unless you want me to pause for a moment.
I'll be on the call on Thursday. I'll just say for that River Valley Shelby game, and a lot of juice actually behind that one right now. Shelby's been playing better. They're 7-3 in the league. They're the 5-time defending champions. So if they can knock off River Valley, there will be a two-way tie at the top of the MOAC between them and Marion Harding, and then down the stretch, a few of these top-layer teams like Shelby and the other two I just mentioned will have to play each other. So you almost want to for the chaos of it. You don't want to root against River Valley, but it'd be kind of fun to see if Shelby could pull off that victory. What would happen down the stretch?
I think you're allowed to as a fan of the looking ahead. These teams are not allowed, as we just heard from Natalie Lance, to look that far ahead.
Right.
They got to look at the game today. We're allowed to. So, yeah, this happens, that happens. All I can tell you is I've heard Shelby's pretty quick.
Sure.
I've seen River Valley. You better oil up that camera tripod. The thing is just going to be on a swivel all night. Friday, Waynedale versus Hillsdale boys basketball tips off the night. Then we've got East Knox and Mount Gilead, Fredericktown, Northmore, and Lucas and Mansfield Christian. All boys basketball, all starting at about 7 o'clock, taking you all the way up till about 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun night of basketball, some league rivalries, a couple games in the KMAC, that Fredericktown-Northmore game. That one is huge for the championship race.
So we got some drama unveiling on Friday, and for our weekend nightcap, we got a 3-pack of basketball games. 2 from the girls. We got Newcomers Town taking on Strasburg, and that's going to be with our old friend, former Loudonville coach.
Yep, Tyler Bates he's coaching at Franklin right now, and they just one loss. They suffered it last week. Bellevue slapped them around pretty good, but
because we weren't there.
Senior night, and they've got the all-time leading scorer in the history of the program. So we wanted to go out there and kind of give Coach Bates some coverage. And that team, they've had so many amazing regular seasons, and then they get in the tournament and they have to run into Berlin, Highland. They have to do it again, even with the 7 divisions. So it's going to be cool to see them when they break through, because Coach Bates, he feels like they stack up very favorably with a lot of the D7s. Bellevue, he was like, that D4 team's pretty good. But, yeah, looking forward to seeing them continue to bounce back and hopefully get a win on Senior Day.
Well, we got 2 more going on that day. That's our early one, Monroeville versus Mansfield Christian. Boys basketball that evening alongside Elgin taking on Mount Gilead in girls basketball. And that completes Tuesday through Saturday. You really don't have to touch that dial. I don't think that's the thing anybody says anymore, but you don't have to touch that stream. Just set it and forget it, so to speak. We got you covered all week long.
Stay locked in all the time right here on the OH Report, the future of local sports. But not anymore tonight. We're past the 9 o'clock hour, so we are going to be signing out here on this Monday evening. But really good to be back here on the OH Report video podcast, and we're going to continue to try to reach new heights, bring you some awesome guests, and keep you guys hearing about some new cool stories. And I always love hearing from you, the fans, about who you would like to see on. Maybe a blast from the past, or a name or a coach or an athlete or something. So my email is brian@oh.report. My phone number is all over the place online, and a lot of you're not afraid to find it and use it. So put it to good use if you're got a cool story that you would like to inform us about, and we're happy to tell it right here on the video podcasts. But for tonight, for now, just north of the City of Champions, we'll have Jeremiah Smith tell you good night for the final time here.
Good night. I'm Jeremiah Smith.